Hi, everybody. Thank you, Angela, for the intro. Just for me to have an idea, can you raise your hand if you are doing anything in DeFi? DeFi, there. Great to see you all. Okay, so my name is Rafaela, but everybody calls me Babi. So if you see me out there, you can call me Babi. Today I'm going to talk about the state of structured products in DeFi, definition, exploration, and beyond. So I am at 0xBabi on Twitter. You can find me there. I have previously worked in TradFi. I was honestly very lucky to be in different areas of the bank. So I worked at derivative sales, back office, trading desk, commercial, and investment products. And today I am the co-founder and CEO of Pods Finance. At Pods Finance, we are doing structured products in DeFi, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. But before we start talking about structured products in DeFi, I'm going to take a step back and look at investment products as an ecosystem, right? So when we talk about investment products, we can actually see different things, right? So we see bonds, we see stocks, indexes, funds, derivatives, and all of them have like a reason to exist, of course. And what are structured products then? So structured products are a different category of products that put together two different products of those that we just saw to create a completely new one. So basically, all of them use multiple assets or derivatives to create a new and unique structure. They mostly have a predefined strategy, a predefined expiry date, and they offer a very easy way for retail to access derivatives. I would like to make a comment here that there are two types of structured products. So we have retail structured products and institutional structured products. And all of this that I'm talking now is TradFi, traditional finance. We're not even in DeFi yet. And when we talk about institutional structured products, which is not the subject of this talk today, I'm just going to give an example for you guys to have an idea of how different they are. When we talk about institutional structured products, we're looking at something extremely tailor-made. So if you think of, I don't know, a company, let's say a company in Brazil that produces a lot of coffee, and they're exporting that coffee, and they have to prepare their entire cash flow for a year. They have multiple exposures that they need to hedge against. So basically, they can just call a bank or multiple banks and quote a structured product to make their cash flow a lot more smooth. So basically, this is a product that is done 100% OTC and is super, very much relationship-based. So you know the banker that is going to do that for you. You know you have a relationship with each one of the banks that you quote on that day. A retail product, on the other side, is a different product because it's a package. It's much more like a production line where you create many of those different packages and you can sell them. I can buy one and then someone else can just go and buy the same package that I just bought. Great. So as just a summary, a structured product is a product that depends on many other products that we put together and create a whole new structure. Most of them, of course, use bonds and derivatives to offer easy derivatives access to the retail. So here I brought a very, very simple structure of a structured product in TradFi. This is like a structured note that is basically adding the entire principal into a bond and then using part of that principal to invest in options. Wade just explained really well. Call options, so in this case here, imagine we're buying call options in that darker blue part. We buy call options with that, and at the maturity date, we're going to have an expiry of the bond, which hopefully will pay back everything, and the expiry of the options. And hopefully they're going to be in the money as well. And in the case where they are in the money, you can make a lot with this product. But in the case they are not in the money and are worth completely zero, you're back at what your principal was initially. So you kind of didn't really lose anything. So this is why we call those types of products in finance principal protected. And I have to say that you have to be very careful when talking about principal protected products in DeFi, because there is no such thing as something being completely protected in DeFi, especially because we have so many different types of risks. Like in TradFi, it's really unlikely that someone is going to just rob the bank and take everybody's structured products home. But this can happen in DeFi. So when someone says that this is a principal protected product, let's say, in DeFi, you have to be very careful to make a point that they are protected from market risk, but not necessarily from all the other types of risks that we have as a DeFi product. Okay, so here, this page should actually be the worst page of the entire presentation, because this is our 2 examples of structured products in TradFi in Brazil. So I took this screenshot this week, and basically those are just the packages that an investment firm can offer you in Brazil as an investor. And here on the other side, we have a term sheet of a structured product in Switzerland. So all of them are like, oh, if the price goes this way, you're going to make this amount. If the price goes that way, you're going to make this other amount. And sometimes they're actually really hard to understand, because there are so many ifs this and if that and so on. So just summarizing here, some of the characteristics of structured products in TradFi are that the majority of them are made with bonds. They have mostly long liquidity lockup periods. There was once that I saw 7 years liquidity lockup. I thought that it was too much. 7 years is like 2 times or more than 2 times the entire lifetime of DeFi. That's too much. Custodial products, so they make the custody for you. And they require permission to access. Not everybody that can access this type of product. Some of their limitations is that they are not composable. So if you have a structured product in Barclays, you can't really use that as collateral in JP Morgan, or those systems are not necessarily connected. They're not transferable, so it's very hard to transfer a structured product that was made in an institution to another one. Those systems are also not ready for those type of things. They're not transparent, so you don't really know from a day-to-day what is happening in there, like how the performance is going. And they are highly regulated, and this is for every finance product. All of them are highly regulated, which makes it hard to innovate with any new product in finance. And that's where I bring the question, when was the last time that you heard of a completely new product in TradFi? Actually, it's been a while, or maybe ever, right? But don't worry, because we have DeFi, and we only talk about new products here. And where we are in structured products in DeFi, well, actually, we're just starting, literally. Less than a year ago, or a year ago, we started talking about structured products. And there is not yet a convention or an agreement of what they actually mean, or what they are, what categorized as a structured product in DeFi, because they are slightly different than traditional finance. So you may have heard of them as ERC 4626, or vaults, or strategies. So they are kind of all over. And because they are in crypto, they start off from a different basis, right? So they start, all of them are, or could be, permissionless, transparent, transferable, and composable with other things, which honestly to me is extremely exciting, because you open up an entire new world of possibilities of things that you can do and products that you can create. And here I brought the same template for us to compare. It's possible for us to create such a simple structure, just like exists in TradFi, in DeFi, just replacing with the things that we have available within the DeFi ecosystem. So for instance, instead of using a bond or a sovereign bond, US Treasuries, we could use Lido or STETH, staked ETH, or we could use Element or Aave. And for the derivative part, we could use options, or we could use Squeef that we just presented. And that's very interesting to notice that just by using those different elements or different ingredients that we have available in the DeFi ecosystem, we get something different, right? Because from start, they are continuous, most of them. So the majority of the DeFi structured products today are continuous instruments instead of finite instruments like we have in TradFi. Most of them are also tokenized. So it's an entire strategy within one token, and you can take it anywhere. You can, like, there's no such thing as, oh, my structured product in JP Morgan or in Barclays. No, you take it with you wherever you want. And it can become collateral somewhere else, or you can create another product with it somewhere else. And also there's more transparency, right? Because we're starting from, this different base blockchain where people can actually go and verify things. So you can actually see what is happening on the other side, and if all the elements that made your structured product actually have what they say to have. So you kind of reduce a little bit of the counterparty risk, although you actually add another risk, which is smart contract risk. So there's always trade-offs in life. And of course, they are also an easy way to offer derivatives to retail user. And I added here a different type of product that I called leverage strategies, which they're not necessarily super described in structured products in TradFi, but in DeFi right now they are kind of loose. They're not bundled together yet under the structured products ecosystem umbrella. And that's what I did here. So here is how I define the ecosystem for structured products in DeFi today. So there are 3 categories for structured products right now: leverage strategies, DOVs, and principal protected vaults. The leverage strategies are products that, again, have from the start a defined strategy, and they are always like putting together something that will give you more leverage on top of something else. So something very interesting here is InstaDApp. InstaDApp has a vault that lets you get more exposure to Lido yield. So you can be exposed to get more yield coming from ETH2 than you would have if you were just holding ETH. Then the DOVs, the DeFi option vaults. DeFi option vaults are probably the ones that started talking about structured products in DeFi. That was about a year ago. Those products are very interesting because they use, and they are very simple as well. They use 100% of the principal to collateralize and sell options. So it's some sort of yield generation product that by selling options over time, you're going to accumulate, this premium. This is also a very risky from the market risk perspective strategy. So you should take care of your position if you're investing there and make sure that you can hedge elsewhere, because whenever you get exercise, you can actually get a big drawdown in your principal. And then the principal protected vaults. The principal protected vaults are just like I described earlier in that template, which are strategies that mostly preserve the principal in a bond or some sort of yield generation source, and then use the yield of that to generate or to get more exposure with derivatives. And all of this right now is still a little bit mixed. So if you ask anyone that is in DeFi for a while, what is structured products in DeFi, we're going to get different results because it's not yet super defined what they are and how they work. So I brought here some examples. This is the example of our vault. And that's basically following that template I mentioned to you guys. And it's actually the exact opposite of crab strategy that Wade presented. So in case ETH moves more than 20% for whatever side, either down or up, you're going to make more money. So it's a very conservative strategy where we just basically invest funds in Lido. And then with the yield from Lido, we buy calls and puts and give you basically more exposure to ETH's volatility. So the more ETH moves, the better for you. And then here I brought 2 more examples, one of each category. So I brought an example of DOVs with Ribbon ETH call selling vault. So basically you deposit ETH on this vault, and this vault is gonna sell call options for you and collect premium over time. And then this other leverage strategy example is very interesting. I brought Oasis. Oasis created a strategy that lets you get more exposure to liquidity fees on Uniswap. So basically what they do there is that they kind of wrapped a liquidity provision on Uniswap into a token, and then use that as collateral and create more DAI, and then do it again and again and again, and then you get a lot of exposure, DAI exposure into the fees that you can get in Uniswap. So ideally, you can see that they're using DAI USDC pool so that you don't have a lot of impermanent loss, and on the upside, you get a lot of exposure to the fees that are generating there. And I think that also this is a pool that has a lot of volume for trading, so they also have a lot of fees to be generated. So that's very interesting. So with 100K, basically in DAI, if we start with 100K, you can get up to 5 million in exposure to the DAI USDC UniV3 pool, which is pretty cool, right? Although this strategy is better for bigger positions because it has a setup cost that is kind of high. Well, so that's basically it. I think that the future of DeFi structured products is still a long path for all of us, because even though blockchain is super transparent, and of course we can see everything that is happening, it's still not very easy to understand all the risks that are happening in there, put together on those strategies. Or it's also not very easy to read and understand the returns of each position. So I think that we have a lot to improve there as well. Of course, making them composable and transferable. Some of the vaults and some of the products that we've seen here are composable already, but they are not yet being used somewhere else. So we're still building those bridges, of course. Making them transferable is another thing super important. And whenever you have a transferable product, you can make tons with it. And of course, having unique products that are only possible in DeFi. And this is the most exciting thing to me. And that's it for what I have today on DeFi structured products. If any of you have any questions, I would be happy to take them, either here now or later on. I didn't see people getting questions, but that's it. Thank you, guys.